there's a lot of talk about security for schools, safe school initiatives. I mean, we've seen a spate of kidnappings in schools. And yes, we need to talk about security. But also what happens in those schools? The quality of education, particularly teachers. You've seen those figures that talk about the death of teachers in our public primary schools. That's at the very base. You can only then imagine what will happen to those same students when they get to secondary and hopefully tertiary institutions. When the foundation is not laid well, you can only imagine what the building would look like. So yes, there's a lot of conversation around infrastructure, politics, but let's talk about that all-important topic, education, this morning. Now we have joining us on the program this morning the National President, Nigeria Union of Teachers, as the Vice President, Education International West Africa Region, and Deputy President of NLC, Comrade Audu Amba, joins us virtually on the program this morning. Comrade Amba, it's good to have you on the morning brief.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome.
Yeah, this is a very important conversation. We can talk about security, talk about health and the rest, but if we leave education out of it, then we're literally doing ourselves harm. We've seen the figures and it paints a dire picture. But I'd like you to take us even deeper into the reality of things this morning for those who might just think, figures. I mean, this is just figures. We see this time and again. Just how tricky is the situation we're in?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost appreciate you for having me this morning. And let me also thank Nigerians and all stakeholders in this system of education for the opportunity given to us to be able to express our dismay and displeasure over the situation that we find ourselves in times of lack of teachers in our respective school between primary and secondary school in Nigeria. It's a pathetic situation, and I want to appreciate UBEC even for coming up with this very statistic to show the whole world and even Nigerians that this is the deficit of the teachers that we're having in our primary and secondary school, even in Nigeria. It's no longer news that this must have happened because of lack of the political will by most of the state government to recruit teachers in our respective states that will mind our primary school cut across the country. Education is at the exclusive list where state government has the right to recruit teachers that will teach in our public primary schools in Nigeria. And it will interest all of us to know that this state government that have stayed for over 10, 15 years without recruiting teachers. And day in, day out, teachers get retired, either by retirement or even by death. The number declined day in, day out. And no commensurate replacement that is put in place to be able to replace those that have retired or those that have died. These are the situation we find ourselves. This is the situation we find ourselves. And by so doing, if you stayed for a longer period without replacing or recruiting teachers into the service, what you expect is an acute shortage of teachers. Yet the enrollment keep on increasing. Though we are made to understand of recent that about 20 million children are out of school. But even at that, the schools are still vacant. You find teachers, a teacher will be teaching a class of about 50, 60, up to 100, him alone, because there are no teachers. And there are schools where you find the headmaster is the teacher that goes around to teach, and at the same time, he is the headmaster of that very school. And he has no option than to do that because there are no manpower. So that is the situation we find ourselves. So what UBEC has brought, I think they must have done their index analysis and must have come out with this very analogical, statistical data to show the deficit of teachers that we are having in our respective schools.
All right, Mr. Amba, talking about that UBEC report, actually, the gap is 194,876 teachers. That's a huge gap if you ask anyone in primary school. Yeah. Do you think this has anything to do with remuneration of these teachers in these schools? Because if you ask anyone, I mean, primary school, those students are the hardest to teach. You have to be dedicated. You have to be happy as a teacher to be able to teach kids like that, because it's a very important, it's an important stage of their lives. Does this have to do with remuneration of these teachers?
Yes, I don't want to delve into issue of welfare at the first place now. I am trying to explain the reason why we are having this deficit of teachers in our schools. One, there is most state government don't recruit as at when due, and there is no day you wake up that teachers don't retire, either by age or by service or even by death. And the union did well by trying to engage the previous administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, to seek the face of seeing how retirement age of teachers would be approved either by service or by age. And the president then graciously granted us that very approval, where today, as we speak, the retirement age of primary and secondary school teachers in Nigeria supposed to be 65 years of age and 40 years of service. That has been granted since 2020. But it will interest all of us to know that as I speak today, only 15 to 16 states across the federation have key into this very policy. And if the union had fought it and we are graciously granted this very opening, I felt that we are trying to see how we can be able to retain the teachers in our respective school, bearing in mind that government don't recruit. But surprisingly, it becomes issue that we had to go hand in carpet pleading with government at the state level to see reason why they should implement already an accepted policy, already something that has already gone into all the necessary technicalities, and it was approved by President Muhammadu Buhari, our former president. Today, only 16 states, I think, 16 states in the federation have key into it. And we came out with this very thinking so that we can be able to retain our teachers, more especially retain the experienced ones in our respective school. Today, let me now go into the welfare the remuneration that you've mentioned. Today, it is clearly seen, or it is obvious, that most people that are going into the teaching profession are doing that not because of the interest they have for the job, but because there are lack of jobs elsewhere. You will see somebody telling you that, why you graduated since? Why are you just sitting there? Why can't you go and kind of maybe go into teaching? Why can't you go and teach? No minding whether you have the prerequisite qualification to go into the classroom and teach. The system permits that any graduate can just find himself in the classroom and begin to teach. And these are the situation. And in terms of retaining, you can make effort to retain teachers by increasing their take home. That is the welfare package. That is the remuneration. Here we are today. Now, of recent, you've heard that there are a good number of teachers that are champering out of the country for better jobs, for better teaching profession outside Nigeria. And it will surprise you if today most of our teachers are not well taken care of, are not well paid. Today we are I think today is 9th of April. If you take statistics in our state, you will find out that there are some states that are yet to pay primary school teachers.
All right, if I'm reporting, If I may butt in quickly, so let's put some data in perspective. So global standard compared to Nigerian standard, what should be the ratio of teacher to students? Primary school, which is our focus right now.
Yes, 40 in a class per teacher. That is the standard. 40 per teacher is manageable. That is the normal standard. But today, if you take a statistic and go around our schools, more especially in the densely populated area, you will see teachers teaching pupils over 100 with one teacher in that very class. So how do you think that teacher will have the capacity of managing such a crowd in the class?
So I know
these are the situations.
All right. So I know someone is wondering, with the teachers training college and colleges of education, what really is happening, because these are people that are supposed to be absorbed into the system. Now you've complained that governors are not recruiting teachers. Some states are not recruiting teachers. So when you sit down with them, is it a hybrid of lack of interest because of the poor remuneration and the issue of governors not recruiting more teachers? And when you speak with these leaders of states, what is their reason exactly for not recruiting teachers? Is it funds? What are they telling you?
You see, I said it that in governance, it is the political will that will drive you to be able to implement a policy or the other. Once you don't have that political will, that interest, you know, it is in Nigeria that we speak about an issue by lip saying, but not really going into it to make sure that we do the needful that is there. If you touch any state governor, he will tell you that education is his priority, education is his priority, education. But if you go deep into what he's trying to do to make sure that, yes, education becomes his own priority, you will see that at the end of the day, there is nothing to show. You understand me? I keep on saying that, yes, building of classroom or schools should go pari passu with the welfare of teachers. If you build a classroom of gold and the teachers are not happy, you won't get what you want. That is the truth. Because you must think of the person that impacts the knowledge. What is his take home? Is he happy as a teacher if he's leaving his house to go and teach? Is he happy in the morning leaving his house to go and teach? Or he's going there with sadness? And once he leaves to the school with sadness, you should expect that he will put in his best in the classroom. So try to make the teacher very happy, very comfortable. And I assure you, even under a shirt, the teacher will be able to perform. He has the skill to be able to do that. So the issue is that once there is this political will by government, if government at the state level say, no, every year or every 2 years, I should be able to recruit a certain number of teachers to be able to replace those that have retired. Or no, listen, state student, check me statistical data of people's teacher ratio in your school, so that I should be able to identify the deficit of teachers that we have in our respective school and classroom, so that I can be able to see how I replace them. If that is done, we wouldn't have been speaking about acute shortage of teachers. By the statistic that UBEC showed, even if states should be able to recruit 5,000, those 5,000 teachers in our respective school will be able to bridge the gap a little bit.
All right,
but today I say it clear. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. But today I said clearly that a good number of our states have stayed for longer period. It will interest you to know that there are states that have stayed for more than 10 years. And you could see between 10 years and today, even if you give birth to a child today, in the next 10 years, it should be somewhere else. And teachers are not being recruited. And if you take records, you will see that a good number of those teachers have even retired. And I want to sound it clearly, and I want to appeal to our state government. Please and please, the state that are yet to kill into this very retirement age of teachers that was fought by the Nigerian Union of Teachers and graciously granted us approval by the past administration under President Mahmoud. Please, they should quickly do that so that we should be able to retain these teachers in our school. Hence, we cannot be able to recruit new ones. My brother there did mention that there are colleges of education and all whatnot. Yes, there are colleges of education split everywhere. In fact, in some local governments, even there are colleges of education. In state, there are state colleges of education. In the federal, there are federal colleges of education. As I speak, I think there is no state within this country that doesn't have a federal college of education.
Okay, Mr. Amba, let's quickly talk about, I mean, you have talked about recruiting teachers, but let's also remember that in recruiting these teachers, how much investment is made into training those that have already been recruited. You also mentioned that some teachers, some people just come because they don't have jobs. They just want to get something doing. So they get into teaching, the teaching profession. But do you also know that some of these people who were not previously interested in teaching, with good training, they can actually start liking or loving that profession, not just taking it because they want something to do. So how much investment, as what you are, a president of Deputy President NLC, Vice President Education International, West African region, you've seen how it's done even outside this country. How much investment are you advising government to put into training teachers in this country?
You see the benchmark, the UNESCO benchmark on the allocation of funds for education is clearly 25% of the total budgetary allocation. Here we are today that in Nigeria and even in some states, the allocation does not even take us anywhere in terms of allocating funds to education. The primarily thing that we are talking about is that if you want to get it right in times of development, then you should take education serious. You should take the teaching profession serious. As you rightly said, for some of us, by His grace, we've traveled wide and near. We've seen how it was in other countries. If you go to Finland today, a teacher is the highest paid because they have made education to be a priority. It is only in this country that if you say you want to become a teacher, they will say, why must you go and teach now? Because the take home is very, very low. Once we decide to make the system, that's education, key as a priority, and we make the teacher too to be the main focal point where we take care of his own welfare, we take care of people will be rushing. A lot of people will be rushing to come and pick teaching job, and they will put in their best. In terms of even training and retraining, we have been talking about it. The union is not quiet about it. We have been saying it. You don't recruit, you don't allow, because teaching profession is a continual thing. It is only in this profession of teaching that you don't have a time to rest. A teacher don't have a time to rest. If a teacher goes to school today and teaches and teach, if he closes from school, he will come back home and begin to prepare against the lesson of tomorrow. So he doesn't even have time for that. So teaching profession is a continual thing. Government should be able to allocate funds for training and retraining, and it should be properly monitored. Properly monitored in the sense that you don't continue to circulate the same set of people. There should be a program where.
If I may button, my apologies if I may button, because we're totally almost out of time. So almost 200,000 shortage or gap is a lot for our system. We need those teachers. So the concern here is, so I want to find out from you, if they are to motivate teachers a lot more better. We have heard the NLC say they will be talking 1 million naira as minimum wage. I know you cannot isolate yourself from minimum wage issue. How much do you think, given the fact that teachers do a lot according to what you said, what should be the minimum salary of a teacher? Let's begin to put that forward. And again, in addition to that, what is the NUT doing in terms of literal agitation, not just advocacy? Because when election cycle comes, sometimes we see teachers' unions say, union for this governorship candidate, union for that governorship candidate, and they're the ones suffering at the end of the day. The budget is slim on them, their remuneration is weak, and all of that. So what is the union going to do differently this time to make sure that these other states recruit teachers to close the gap? That's one question. Second question, how much should a teacher be paid minimum?
Yes, thank you for, let me start from the rear. What we are trying to do is now to start engaging our state government individually. We have agreed at our last National Executive Council meeting that we'll be able to pay a visit to most of these our state governors individually, so that we sit down with them and see the policy that they are putting in place in terms of teachers' welfare, in terms of education, and all. In fact, I've directed all my state council that they should be able to liaise with their state governor, and where they find it difficult, they should be able to maybe notify us at the center so that we can now intervene by going down to such state governors and sitting down with them, discussing with them, telling them the importance of trying to put attention, more attention for the teaching profession, the education, and even the teacher himself. That is aside. And you've spoken about issue of what do we expect the teacher to take as a take-home. We are all Nigerians. In fact, we have been agitating for teacher salary structure for years. Even in the year 2020, where elongation of service was granted to us, there were some incentives that went in line with, attached with those very elongation. And up till now, nothing has been done. There is this special allowance that is to be paid for teachers in our respective school. There's this special allowance for teachers teaching science subject. This special allowance for teachers teaching in our rural area.
Right.
There are all these incentives are on ground, but the political will to implement is the issue.
Right.
And as leaders, when we start agitating, people will begin to say that we should be patient, right. And it will get to a stage whereby we can no longer be patient again. Issue of the minimum wage we are thinking, or the salary that we are thinking, you can't be able to peg it. Right. Because you know the economic situation that we are in the country. The Nigerian Union of Teachers is in line with what Labour Congress is agitating for.
So bottom line, teachers' reward should not be in heaven alone anymore. It should be on earth. Same for the workers. It shouldn't be in heaven. And all. But we'd like to thank you so much, Comrade. We're totally out of time. We'll be speaking with Comrade Audu Amba, National President, NUT. That's the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Deputy President, NLC, and VP Education International West Africa Region. Thank you so much for your time and for the work you do as teachers in the country.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a moment on the show. By the way, we have breaking news for you coming in very soon. But we also have an artist whose voice will definitely serenade you. You've seen him on The Voice Nigeria. You perhaps loved him as well. So we're having him live on the show. Plus, breaking news just about the public holiday, which we understand has been extended for yet another day. So stay with us right here on The Morning Brief.